Alright, let's talk about reported speech. It's a little bit different than quoted speech, but has some similarities. Reported or indirect speech is used when a speaker wants to report what someone else has said without using the exact words. In other words, one takes the speech from a quoted speech and reports it back in their own words, maybe summarizing or paraphrasing. There are no quotation marks needed when we use reported speech. Here's an example. John said he loved this class. Or, John said that he loved this class. Okay? Maybe John's exact words were something like, hey guys, I really, really like this class. See how it's not exactly the same words, but his meaning is the same. Okay? Changing quoted to reported speech. Step 1. Make the speaker the subject of the reported speech. Here's an example. Here's a quote. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do the homework last night?" So that's the exact words that she said. Now let's do reported speech. So we start with Miss Mercer, that's the subject, and then we use a reported verb, and we can look at these again if you want on slide 5. You'll use the reported verb in the simple past that mirrors what was used in the quoted speech. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do that homework last night?" So instead of said, you could just say Miss Mercer asked, because it's a question. Note, the original sentence uses the reported verb said. However, the quote itself is asking a question, so the best reported verb that mirrors the example is ask. Again, because it's a question. Miss Mercer asked a question. So we say Miss Mercer asked. Step 3, change the first person and second person pronouns to third person pronouns unless the speaker reports his or her own words. Third person pronouns in quoted speech do not change form in the reported speech. So here we have, Miss Mercer said, "Did you do that homework last night?" So in the exact quote, Miss Mercer is talking to someone else and she's asking her students, "Did you do the homework last night?" But now if one of the students wants to report this speech, a student would say, Miss Mercer asked if we did the homework last night. Notice that the pronoun you is switched to we. You can be tricky because you could mean talking about multiple people or could be talking about one person. It could be singular or it could be plural. But in this case, we're thinking that Miss Mercer asked all the students, did all the students do that homework last night? And then as we report the speech, so it should be Miss Mercer asked if we, so one of the students is reporting this speech. Pronoun shift for step 3. So here's a chart that kind of helps you to know how to switch from quoted speech to reported speech. Okay? Before moving on to step 4, most quoted speeches are transferred the way they are told. But when you have a yes-no question, you must remember to use the introductory words whether or if. So here's the quote. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do that homework last night?" And then if we do reported speech, we would ask, Miss Mercer asked if we did the homework last night. Remember that we do not use the auxiliary do in noun clauses, so be careful not to include it in the reported speech unless it's used as the main verb. Step 4. Put every verb other than the reported verb one step back into the past. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do that homework last night?" Reported speech, Miss Mercer asked if we had done the homework last night. We change the simple past do to the past perfect had done. And here's a chart showing all the shifts. Okay, so for the first one, for example, if the quoted speech is in the simple present, the example eat food. If someone said a sentence with eat food, then the reported speech would be reported into the simple past ate food. Tense shift. Important modals could, might, should, would, ought to, and had better do not change form. And then step 5, change any adjectives and adverbs that you might have from the list below. This or that, change to the. Here, change to there. So here's the quoted speech. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do that homework last night?" And then for the reported speech, Miss Mercer asked if we had done the homework. And now, with the time expressions, put those time expressions one step back into the past also. Miss Mercer said, "Did you do the homework last night?" Now the reported speech could be from a week after this quote happened. We don't know when that quote happened exactly. So for the reported speech, we're going to say, Miss Mercer asked if we had done the homework the previous night, instead of saying last night. We changed from last night to the previous night. So here are some time expressions and how they can shift from quoted speech to reported speech. So in quoted speech, you'd use now. Reported speech, you'd use then. Quoted speech, today. Reported speech, you'd say that day. And you can read the rest. Okay, here's some more time expression shifts for step number 6. If you said a year ago, you would change it to a year before. If you said here, you would change it to there for reported speech. So some of them are time, some of them are place even, and you'll want to shift those. There are some exceptions or exemptions. If we state something from quoted to reported speech, which is true, just a simple fact, the simple present tense will be used in the reported speech. So here's some examples. Miss Mercer said, "I am from Mexico." But the reported speech, you could just say, Miss Mercer said she is from Mexico. Or Miss Mercer said that she is from Mexico. Notice how the tense stays the same. It's the simple present tense. But now in the reported speech, you're talking about Miss Mercer. In the quoted speech, you're quoting the exact words that came out of her mouth, the exact words that Miss Mercer said. Okay, so you see that difference. Here's one more example. James said, "Texas is the second largest state in America." Or in reported speech, you could say, James said, "Texas is the second largest state in America." Or James said that Texas is the largest state in America. I usually include the word that, so it lets me know it's definitely reported speech. In this sentence, there's no difference unless you add the word that to know it's okay, it's definitely reported speech. Now using whether or if are used in reported speech when there are yes or no questions. Whether or if should be put before a reported speech if we change a quoted speech question sentence into a reported speech sentence. Look at these examples, it will make more sense. The teacher asked me, "Have you finished your exercises?" And then for reported speech, the teacher asked me whether I had finished my exercises. Okay, so again, it's a yes-no question. Did you finish your exercises? Yes, I did. Have you finished your exercises? No, I didn't. Or no, I haven't, excuse me. And then for reported speech, you could put whether instead. Use whether. Say versus tell. Use say when there's no indirect object following the verb. For example, Miss Mercer said that I was getting extra points. Use tell when the verb is followed by an indirect object. Miss Mercer told me that I was getting extra points. See, for letter B, you have an indirect object. For letter A, there's no indirect object. Important, there are some verbs used in reported speech that do not have an indirect object, such as add, answer, explain, and reply. She explained that she had never had an accident. She replied that she had never had an accident. There are other verbs that are followed by an indirect object to inform, notify, remind. Like inform, notify, remind, or promise. She reminded her son that she would drive safely. She informed her son that he should drive safely. Okay, let's keep going. Remember what to look for. For quoted speech, there's quotation marks. You want to have a comma after said if you have the subject and verb at the beginning. It should not contain the word that. Remember, reported speech, you do have that. It's optional, but I like it in there. It helps me to know that it's reported speech. The pronouns could be I or you in the quotation, right? Because it's exactly what the other person said. The verb tense could be, in this case, you see how that's future tense, will see. The time, you see tomorrow. Syntax, you have an independent clause. Now compared to reported speech, notice the shifts that take place with this example. She said, I will see you tomorrow. Reported speech, she said that she would see me the next day. There's no quotation marks. There's no comma after the word said. It contains that. It is optional, but again, I prefer it. The pronouns shift, they change into third person, she or me, she, and then me in the end. So she said that she would see me the next day. The verb tense shifts, she would see instead of will see. And then the time is the next day instead of tomorrow. Because again, reported is one step back. Syntax, you have a noun clause there. And that's why I like to have that there. It helps me remember that that's a noun clause. All right, thank you for listening. Have a great day.